Zimbabweans are capable of spearheading game-changing, first-of-a-kind innovations that challenge the world's traditional ways of doing things.
What if the world's most powerful automakers, Tesla, GM, even Volkswagen, just got outmaneuvered by a self-taught inventor in Zimbabwe?
The powertrain, we did it in-house, which makes it the first electric vehicle in the world that drives without needing recharging systems.
Maxwell Chikumbutso's car needs no charging, no fuel, no battery swaps, just pure self-sustaining energy.
Generator and even a helicopter that ran on radio frequencies. A true free energy device that keeps batteries consistently charged. It took me several months to find him, but when I did, it blew my mind.
Witnesses call it disturbingly efficient, while Elon Musk's stunned reaction sparked global panic. If this tech is real, it won't just kill the battery industry. It could collapse oil empires, disrupt trillions in infrastructure, and flip geopolitics upside down. Ready to see the invention that shouldn't exist but might change everything? Keep watching. The unlikely inventor. While Silicon Valley was perfecting battery technology, a Zimbabwean inventor was working on something that could make batteries themselves obsolete. Maxwell Chikumbutso has spent over a decade being dismissed by mainstream science, labeled a dreamer, and sidelined by an industry that couldn't comprehend what he was building. But Chikumbutso never stopped. His company, Scythe Technologies, has been demonstrating these vehicles since approximately 2015, with public demonstrations in Zimbabwe drawing local attention but limited international scrutiny until recent years. Known for his earlier ventures into green technology and alternative energy solutions, his reputation as a nonconformist inventor has now reached its peak with this latest creation. The vehicle he's developed doesn't just improve on existing systems, it completely bypasses them. Powered by what he describes as a revolutionary electromagnetic energy conversion system, the car synthesizes electromagnetic waves and converts them into usable electric energy. No external charging, no fuel stops, no battery swaps. The car sustains itself operating indefinitely without needing anything from the outside world. Demonstration footage available online shows the vehicles operating without visible charging ports or fuel systems, though no independent technical assessment has been published in peer-reviewed literature. The inventor threatening to bankrupt Tesla, GM, and Volkswagen is a self-taught engineer who built his prototype in a Harare workshop using second-hand equipment, and the fact that major automotive powers never saw him coming might be the most expensive oversight in industrial history. He guarded technical details closely, citing concerns about intellectual theft, which only deepened skepticism. Without peer-reviewed validation or transparent breakdowns, his work sat on the margins, noticed by few and trusted by fewer. That changed the moment Elon Musk made a public reaction. Overnight, what had been ignored was suddenly examined. When the most influential figure in electric vehicles acknowledges the possibility of disruption, curiosity replaces dismissal. Analysts who would have previously ignored a prototype from Zimbabwe began paying attention, not because the claims were proven, but because the stakes were now impossible to ignore. The financial implications became immediately clear. Traditional vehicle ownership costs average between $15,000 and $20,000 over a decade when factoring in fuel, maintenance, and battery replacement. Electric vehicles reduce that figure somewhat, but still require charging costs and eventual battery replacement, averaging $8,000 to $15,000. A truly self-powered vehicle could reduce lifetime energy costs to near zero, fundamentally altering consumer economics and forcing automakers to compete on radically different terms. The global automotive industry, valued at approximately $3 trillion annually, suddenly faces a competitor that has invalidated its entire cost structure. More unsettling still was the location. This breakthrough was not emerging from Silicon Valley or a state-backed research hub, but from a place the global tech industry rarely watches. It challenges assumptions about where innovation can originate and who gets to redefine the rules. But the real threat wasn't where he came from or how he built it. The threat was what he claimed the car could actually do. And that's where the laws of physics themselves started breaking down in ways that terrified scientists more than excited them. When physics pushes back, for over a century the laws of thermodynamics have been clear. Energy cannot be created from nothing, and every system loses usable energy over time. Following this law, this invention promising endless output without external fuel or charging is immediately flagged as impossible. That framework has protected science from fraudulent claims, but it's also why Chikumbutso's demonstrations triggered institutional alarm rather than curiosity. Researchers are unsettled by the report of witnesses. Observers describe vehicles running steadily with no visible energy input, no draining battery, and no obvious external feed. The proposed explanation centers on capturing ambient electromagnetic activity, the low-level waves already filling the environment from natural and man-made sources, then amplifying and recycling that energy in real time. In simple terms, it does not claim to create energy, but to continuously collect what already exists and reuse it with extreme efficiency. That distinction is where the battle begins. If the system is truly harvesting ambient energy at a scale large enough to power motion, it does not break thermodynamics outright, but it stretches current models to their limits. Concepts like resonance amplification, electromagnetic coupling, and zero-point energy extraction, previously confined to theoretical physics margins, suddenly demand serious examination. Behind closed doors, researchers split into camps. Some argue that hidden batteries, delayed discharge, or measurement gaps could account for observed performance. Others quietly explore whether conventional models might be incomplete. What prevents immediate dismissal is the documented footage, vehicles operating continuously across multiple demonstrations without visible power sources. Either the demonstrations conceal hidden energy sources, or the conventional understanding of energy harvesting efficiency is incomplete. The unspoken tension is this: if independent testing confirms the effect, physics does not collapse, but it changes. Models expand, assumptions tighten, and new boundaries are drawn. But that process requires someone to risk funding and reputation on testing a system the establishment has already labeled impossible. And that's where the scientific process stalls when industrial interests prefer it stay buried. But while physicists debated whether the technology violated natural laws or simply exposed gaps in current understanding, engineers who actually ran the numbers discovered something that made the theoretical debate irrelevant. Because the scale of energy amplification Chikumbutso was claiming required physics that didn't just stretch the models, it shattered them completely. And understanding those numbers is what reveals why this either changes everything or exposes the most sophisticated technical deception ever constructed: the power source that should not work. What disturbed engineers wasn't just that the system appeared to violate energy conservation laws, it was that after months of analysis, no one could definitively explain what trick was being used, and that uncertainty was somehow more alarming, because on paper, this power source should not be enough to move a car at all. According to Chikumbutso, the system draws energy from ambient electromagnetic waves, the background radiation from radio transmissions, telecommunications infrastructure, and other emissions constantly present in modern environments. To understand the scale challenge, ambient electromagnetic radiation in urban environments typically measures less than 1 microwatt per square meter. A moving car requires 15,000 to 30,000 watts continuous, meaning Chikumbutso claims to be capturing and amplifying energy by a factor of roughly 30 billion. He describes it as a microsonic energy system that amplifies these typically weak signals into continuous usable power. Rather than storing energy in large batteries that drain over time, the vehicle draws power continuously as it operates, creating what he calls a closed-loop system. The concept challenges conventional engineering because ambient electromagnetic energy is generally considered too diffuse and weak for vehicle propulsion, which is why no major automaker has pursued it. Available demonstration footage shows vehicles operating without visible external charging connections, though the recordings do not include energy measurement equipment that would verify zero external power input. The absence of engine noise and the lack of battery depletion are what fuel the mystery. If the system functions as claimed, it would eliminate the most expensive and limiting parts of electric vehicle ownership: charging infrastructure, range anxiety, and battery replacement. Chikumbutso has kept technical schematics, performance data, and internal measurements tightly restricted, citing intellectual property concerns. That secrecy has drawn criticism from scientists who argue that extraordinary claims require transparent testing and independent verification. Without that scrutiny, the technology sits in an uncomfortable space between breakthrough and impossibility.